When you find a real estate platform that aligns everyone in the entire company financially by making us real estate agents owners, so when the average agent wins, everyone wins, that's the secret to success. And when you surround yourself with like-minded entrepreneurial people who absolutely love what they do, they love serving people, they love God and life, and you put yourself in an environment of high energy, high producing, positive people every day, you can't help but succeed in business and life. We are changing the real estate industry and changing real estate agents' lives. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Forever podcast. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Forever podcast. I'm super excited today to be talking to my business partner, Kristi Newman, from the GTA, from the Greater Toronto area in Canada. How are you doing today, Kristi?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Thanks for joining us today. Hey, thanks for everyone joining. If you have any questions for Kristi, you'll definitely put them in the chat box so we can answer them for you. But she's a second generation realtor and entrepreneur, life and business strategist. Her family owned 2 RE/MAX franchises growing up. So she's been really in the real estate industry since she was like 8 or 10 years old. But we'll unpack that as we go. But Kristi, welcome, and tell us a little bit about yourself and your real estate background.
Amazing. Thank you for having me. Yeah, like you said, I've grown up in the industry. So my mom got her real estate license first and is now a broker when I was around 8 years old. And so that's 36 years ago. I don't like saying that. And then my parents bought a real estate office. My dad got his real estate license after my mom. My mom is now a broker, like I said, and they bought a RE/MAX franchise that was going under. It was really struggling, and they brought it back to the biggest real estate office in Durham region, which is just east of Toronto. Yeah, with amazing agents, amazing business culture, office culture, lots of parties, lots of enthusiasm. So the office grew like crazy. They bought another RE/MAX franchise and grew that one, and then they sold them out. And now have moved over to EXP as well as me. And so that's my journey in real estate land. About 6 years ago, I got my real estate license. But like I said, I've grown up in the industry with all the ups, the downs, managing clients, managing agents, managing offices, changing economic climate.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So what's your, thanks for kind of giving us some background. So in real estate for 6 years, tell us a little bit, of how you started and what was your business like and what is it like right now?
Yeah, amazing. So obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but in Canada, in Toronto area, the market is insane. And it continues to be crazy. So where I am in Durham region, which is, like you said, in the GTA, just east of Toronto, the market is still going strong. It's pretty wild. So I started with a small brokerage. It was a boutique brokerage in Toronto, and then made the switch to EXP for different opportunities and growth. And then, we do residential. We also do development properties. So new builds and developing property as well. So.
All right, nice. So about a year and a half with EXP, what was the main top 2 reasons why you saw it as an opportunity that had you change from where you were to us now?
Yeah, totally. So brick and mortar businesses to me are they're not going to be viable long term. The expense, the overhead of brick and mortar companies is just not the way of the future. It's not environmentally sound. It's not financially sound anymore with the opportunities that the internet provides us. So EXP's business model of being virtual to me is exactly in alignment where the world is going, where I'm going. We need to be mobile for quality of life. We need to be able to move around and do different things because quality of life, mental health is more important than ever, I think, with the amount of information that's flashed at us all the time. So that was one reason, was the virtual aspect of EXP. Also, the aspect of everybody working together, because everybody is an owner. For me, I come from a sports background. I was, we can talk about this later, but I was able to go to the Olympics last year and help run the Olympics for the equestrian sports. So I come from a team sport background. And I also believe that a rising tide raises all ships, all boats. So for me, it's really important to work together. And I don't like the aspect of being competitive with other agents, because there's enough to go around. And so for in EXP, because we're all owners, when one person does well, everybody does well. So for me, I just love that environment. I just thrive in that cheering each other on and helping each other out and helping everybody grow together for the common good and the bigger picture. So for me, that was a no-brainer with EXP. And that's why my whole family switched to EXP. My sister as well. So it's, yeah, I love the business model, and I think it's a very clever business model.
All right, fantastic. So growing up with parents in both RE/MAX companies for, well, since you were little, what are some of the advantages or disadvantages has that brought to your business?
Yeah, so understanding the business as a whole from the brick and mortar perspective, and how the business has shifted over time, right? Because 36 years ago, it was a very different business. We had books of listings when I worked in reception, and there wasn't the internet. We didn't have that. So that wasn't a thing. We had pagers.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and my parents had the cell phone that was like almost as big as the car that they would.
Yeah, I had a bag phone.
Yes, so So that's how long I remember the business. And now, to me, the world has to be really agile because of all the different economic changes and just the accessibility of information and how fast things move. I think that a big brick and mortar, lots of overhead, cumbersome organization, whether it's a real estate brokerage or any kind of business, it can't adjust quickly enough to the different changes in the economy and the markets. So for me, again, this is why we all made the shift to EXP. It's much more agile and can make shifts and doesn't have that crazy overhead that they have to keep, carrying. Right. In the different times. So, yeah.
I mean, cloud-based business has been around for a while now. And I mean, the perfect example is, Netflix and Blockbuster, right? And Uber and the yellow cab. I mean, Airbnb. These are companies that have changed the way we do business. And now, Glenn has brought it to real estate, and it's changed a lot of our real estate agents' lives. So, I agree with you 100%. Again, thanks everyone for joining. Bob and Missy, Pierre, you guys have any questions? Definitely just put them into the chat box so we can ask Kristi. I want to unpack a little bit. I understand you're a coach in mindset coaching, and you probably do a lot of other different coaching. Tell us a little bit about that and how that's really been able to benefit you and how that can benefit your team or other agents. Because I'm sure there's agents out there listening, and if you're anywhere in the GTA area, or because we are cloud-based, anywhere in the 22 countries that we're in, I'm sure Kristi would be glad to answer any questions or see what it might look like to help you grow your business. But let's unpack like your coaching and how that really can benefit your team members.
Definitely. So I was fortunate to get a horse when I was 10 years old. Maybe my parents won't agree, but it's taken me on quite a wild ride, and literally and figuratively. And so at 15 years old, I started coaching riders. And if you've never actually ridden a horse, like training a horse is not like the movies. It's not like when you go on vacation and you do the little trail ride. Horses have minds of their own, and they are watching your body language and basically reading your energy and your mind all the time. So if you do not control your mindset, literally you could die, right? Like you're sitting on 1,000-pound animal that doesn't really care if it listens to you or not. So you have to control your stress levels. You have to control your thinking because you have to direct this animal that's 1,000 pounds. So that's where I started. And then,
Okay.
up to now, I'm 44, and I'm still coaching riding and competitive sports, and also compete as well. Like I said, I was at the Olympics this last year helping to run the equestrian sport, and taking that knowledge of mindset, visualization, and controlling your patterns of thinking into business land. So
Okay.
now my other side of my life, of course, like we talked about, has been real estate. So I've grown up as an entrepreneur since I was my parents have always been entrepreneurs. So I guess my entire life I've grown up in an entrepreneur environment, which if anybody is, realtors are all entrepreneurs, but I think anybody can agree, we get beat up pretty good mentally sometimes in the different changing markets, the ups, the downs, and you have to control your mind and you have to control your focus so that you can continue to move forward and achieve your goals. So I've melded those two things together. And so now I do life and business strategy coaching to help people control their mindset and also tap into the energy of the world to be able to achieve the goals, the wealth, the impact that you're looking to do with your life. So so I've just tied those two things together. And so 29 years now of coaching. It's been pretty incredible ride as well.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very that's a big deal. So congratulations for your background and everything you're doing, because I'm sure it's not only controlling your mind and helping yourself and your family, but being able to give that to other people. I mean, it's a gift, really, right?
It really has been. It's really and learning to tie those two things together. And like we talked a little bit earlier, but I've worked with mentors like Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor, that kind of really focusing in and really tapping into your potential to really be able to expand your life and what you can offer your clients and yourself and your family has been just such a privilege. Honestly, I just love it. It gives me goosebumps.
Now, what are some of the practical things that people that are listening can do to help them in their real estate business? Any golden tips that you can share with our listeners today?
Yeah. So one major thing is controlling your emotional highs and lows, because the highs can be so high when things are going well, but in the next minute, it could be the lowest of the low. And so I think learning to control the variability between the high and the low is key, because it can be very emotional as an entrepreneur, right? You could have a deal put together and the best thing ever, and then it falls apart the next minute. So you have to be able to control your emotional state all the time. So one thing that we do a lot of is mindfulness. So teaching people to be mindful, meditation, whatever you want to call it. It's just about focusing inside, focusing on what you can control, and just being in the moment, and just looking at the big picture of things rather than in that specific tiny moment that you're living in. So that's one thing. The other thing is visualization. This is so powerful, and people in sport have been using this forever. Like I said, I was at the Olympics. I watched all the athletes. They're all sitting and visualizing their sport before they go compete. And your mind, which I've known for over 20 years, your mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what you imagine. So you start to create neurological pathways in your brain and your body by just imagining that you're doing your sport. So now take that to business. Use your imagination to create the life you want, to create the clients you want, to create the business you want. Oh, it is like superpower for realtors, for entrepreneurs. So use your imagination. And that's what, I do in my coaching classes and courses and stuff, is teach people how to really dial that in to really create the wealth and impact that you want.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's very interesting. Maybe after we should get together a little bit more. Because I believe that we all should have a coach, a real estate coach, a life coach. There's always another level, no matter where your life or your business is. I believe there's always another level, and when you surround yourself with other, like-minded people and people doing, in the business world 10, 15 times more than you and me put together, they pull each other up, right? And that's how I feel a lot about really our model here EXP in our group with our Honey Badger group and our Financial Freedom Forever family. We all are working together and pulling each other up, and the collaboration is, I know for me, has been pretty fantastic. How's the collaboration with your group and what you've experienced at the lower micro level of just your team and your office to the whole company at
amazing. That's what it's all about, right? Because you may have a blind spot in your business. We all do. We all have a blind spot. Right. And something I was thinking while you were speaking that just sort of came to me about having a coach. I've been coached my entire life in riding in a competitive sport. You have golf coaches. Everybody needs a coach, because I use this example all the time. I write with my left hand, and that's a pattern. I've created this pattern. I write with my left hand. If you want me to write with my right hand, oh Lord, that is going to be complicated. It's not going to work very well. And you would have to hold my hand and write. And I'm going to want to switch back to my old pattern immediately, because it's easier to write with my left hand.
Right.
So a coach helps you to recognize the pattern, number one. And then number two, they help you to stay in the new pattern, because you have to create a new pattern of success. You have to also believe that you can do what you're talking about doing, right? Mm-hmm. So you may say, this is where the thermostat comes in. You may have a belief that you can make 100,000 a year, and you may believe that. And now you got to take that next level to 200,000 a year or more, like $1 million to 2 million, whatever the jump is, doesn't matter. You have to believe you can achieve that next jump, right? If you don't actually believe it and identify it as a person who makes that kind of money, you're never going to achieve it, because your thermostat's going to shut you down and say, nope, you're actually only $100,000 a year person. And it's subconscious. You can't even control it. So a coach helps you to recognize that subconscious thermostat that's blocking you from reaching those goals. So I wanted to share that after you were talking about that, because I think a lot of us are like, oh, I don't need a coach. You do, because if you aren't making the huge money that you were planning to, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and it's not happening, there's something in there that's a belief in you that's holding you back. So coaches really help you identify that and help you to get into the new pattern.
Yeah, that's some great advice. I mean, it's pretty eye-opening. I mean, we may have heard something similar, in the past, but you kind of forget about it as you just get into your normal everyday routine of where you're at. That's just sparking some interest in just my mind of where I need to be even thinking bigger and doing the same. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. What are some of the biggest things that you've manifested in your life?
Yeah. Okay. So the Olympics was a crazy one. So from 10 years old, I wanted to be at the Olympics and riding, competing. And so I tell people that if you're going to manifest things, note to self, be very specific, because I ended up at the Olympics, but I wasn't coaching. I was running it. I was helping to run the sport. And it was all expenses paid. It was like mind-blowing, amazing opportunity in COVID to be in Japan, flown there, to do all these things. Like, I can't even tell you the opportunities that came that were there, but I giggle about it because I guess I wasn't specific enough. I want to be competing at it. But here I am running it. That's amazing too. And still involved in the sport. So I think that was a big one. So as a note to listening, be very specific on actually what you're manifesting, because you might be getting close. And then the next thing is the real estate wealth. Just the highs and lows of manifesting and learning how to really narrow in your manifesting ability. We live on a property now that's worth in the mid 8 figures. So wow. It's powerful stuff. And the lessons that my family and I have learned because of manifesting something so substantial is crazy valuable. And that's why I love sharing it with you guys today and sharing the information with my clients and team. Right. But it takes, you learn a lot when you're in this business for a long time about, you get knocked around a little bit, and that's amazing. And it's perfectly perfect. But you have to learn from it. And if you're not learning from it, then that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah. Right. Where do you see yourself with your real estate business in the next 5 years? What are your goals? What are you trying to do?
So my calling, I guess you could say, is coaching. I love breaking down information for people so that they can then use it. So I've been doing that in the competitive horse world and then in the business world as well. And I love breaking down information for people so that they can execute and achieve their dreams. So that's where I'm growing my team. That's what I'm doing. I love being part of your team and being part of EXP and this global movement of an organization in real estate that is helping each other. I am all for that. So that's what I'm doing. I'm growing my team and helping people change their mindsets, because all the strategies in the world will not help you if your thermostat is set too low. And if your patterns are not winning patterns, it doesn't matter. You can use all the strategies, all the coaches, and I see it all the time. Oh, you can get this client, that client, you can do this, you can do that. But if you don't believe it, and if you don't have the right personality, because you're living in this, oh, woe is me, or this sort of poor energetic vibe, like this poor, I tell people it's like a radio station, right? There's radio stations, they play all kinds of music. You can't see how that radio station is playing its waves, right? And if you dial into the right radio station, you're going to get the right songs. Your life is the same. If you dial into the right radio station, you will get the right song for your life, right? The right impact. But if you are like kind of off by like 0.1 on the FM dial, it's all static and crappy, right? Your life is the same. So if you aren't dialing into that radio station properly, good luck. You're not going to hear the music that you want. And you see it all the time with the radio, our cell phones. You and I are talking. We are not in the same room. And it's waves that you cannot see that are connecting us right now.
Yeah, we're not even in the same country, right? I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, and you're up there in the GTA in Canada. That's how amazing,
Powerful, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with, if you're not seeing the money, the impact, the happiness, the fulfillment, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs think that it's going to be so amazing, and then they get hit a few times by challenges and they don't feel fulfilled and they're not happy. And that's, we're only here on earth for a short period of time. We better be happy and loving it. Like, it's just such a privilege to be alive. So anyways, I could go on all day about this stuff.
Well, just a few other things. How did you learn about EXP? Were you looking for a change, or how did you find out about it? And what did that look like?
Yeah. So my sister is out in Calgary, Alberta. So on the west coast of Canada, western-ish of Canada. And she was buying a house, and her realtor was a guy she'd gone to school with, and he was making the switch to EXP. So then my mom, who's a broker, said, this is interesting. We should look at this company EXP. And I was like, oh, whatever. I wasn't thinking about it, right? It wasn't on my radar yet. And then my sister Catherine started looking at it. And so we started discussing, and I was like, wait a minute. And then when I really sat down and looked at what it was that the EXP offered, I was like, oh, wow, this is powerful. Like, powerful where the world is going. So I think right now people don't realize how powerful this company is and what it's going to do for people, because it seems like it's just getting going, but it's so far ahead of its time. It is crazy. So I wanted to be in on the ground level, because I was like, oh no, this is going to rocket. As soon as people actually see, and this is I tell other realtors that I've spoken to, like, you may have heard about this company through other people who aren't at the company, but if you haven't heard it from somebody at the company, you don't really know what it does and what it's capable of, what you're capable of being here. So that's how I found out about it. It was a few different people talking about it, and then really diving in, looking at it myself, and I was like, oh, we're all moving. We're all moving.
So how cool is that? So you're at a small independent. Your mom, they sold their RE/MAX brokerages, so she was...
They'd gone to the small independent as well. The fees were low. And the broker owner was so fantastic. So fantastic. There was nothing. I mean, it actually was like painful leaving because we just loved him, you know,
Right.
and loved the atmosphere there. It was really fantastic. But from a long-term perspective and where the world is going and where I wanted to go with my coaching as well as my real estate, this was the place to be with the
Yeah,
opportunity.
you didn't have any ownership
Yeah.
at the other company, right?
I was saying to my family, like, I want to look into a brokerage that I can buy, you know, because in time, you know, because we do the coaching and my dad was a huge recruiter for Remax. It was owning a company was big for us because, or for
Sure.
me, especially because that's what we have done.
Yeah.
So being an owner and then all the, added opportunities with EXP, it's been fantastic.
And let's unpack that a little bit. I mean, I was a broker owner with my partner in New York as well, so I know firsthand. But for the people that are listening, that maybe their goal is to be a broker owner, or they already are currently a broker owner, why do you see, the EXP model even a better benefit than being your own broker owner of your own company?
Yeah, totally. So if you're a salesperson, you're not an administration person. That's probably as simple as it gets. If you are a salesperson, if you're a people person, if you love speaking to people, you're not usually great at administration. I think my camera has.
Yeah, your camera shows up, but we can still hear you. So
okay, amazing. I'm like spinning here. Yeah, so you're not an admin person. I'm not an admin person. That's not my favorite thing to do, and you don't want to put people into positions that they're not going to be successful at in any organization. So if I wanted to own a brokerage, I would have to then take on that responsibility of all the administration. And that takes me away from what I'm really good at, which is coaching and sales and connecting people with their dreams.
Right.
So by coming to a company like EXP and shifting over, all of that is taken away. All that admin stuff and the responsibility of a brokerage is gone, but you get all the benefit of an ownership. So that is beyond crazy amazing for somebody like myself who loves speaking, loves coaching, loves connecting people to dreams and wealth. But I don't want to do administration. I'm not good at it. It's not my favorite thing. So know your strengths, know your weaknesses. And when I sat down and looked at strengths, weaknesses, and the amount of responsibility I wanted to have on a day-to-day for administratively, owning a brokerage didn't make sense. But being part of that group, helping to lead, connecting people, that's all something that really I value and I'm good at. And so this was the perfect, like I can't even tell you how perfect the fit is here with EXP. It's just phenomenal.
So you don't have the liability as a broker owner. You don't have the expenses for sure as the broker owner. But you said you still get a lot of the added benefits as a broker owner. What do you mean exactly by that?
Yeah, so your revenue share, your it's not profit share, which is a difference, right? Because profit can be skewed. I think anybody with companies that do profit share, that's a mistake because you can always skew that. And I can always find expenses in my other businesses and skew my profit, let's be honest. So revenue share, that's amazing. And again, that group atmosphere of working towards the common good. I think you don't even get that in a Remax office. You don't, because the agents all are competing against each other for the clientele, or so they think they are. Let's be honest. There's enough business to go around for everybody, but people get into this competitive, like with other agents and stuff, where in EXP, it's not the same. There's enough clients to go around for everybody in the world. Not everybody's going to connect with me. Not everybody's going to connect with you. And in an organization like EXP, where we're all owners, say somebody doesn't, a client doesn't want to work with me, but they want to work with you. Amazing. They're staying within our organization. And that's the way I've created my equestrian business too. We have over 100 clients a week. I have 6 coaches that work for me. So I have a whole other business. And we have an organization where if somebody doesn't want to ride with one of the coaches, but they connect with one of the other ones, amazing. That's amazing. They're still staying in our organization and they're growing and enjoying what they do with the horses. The real estate is the same. So when I'm with a company like EXP, it's all moving in the right direction for that bigger, greater impact. So.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, man, it's been a pleasure, going through all this with you, Kristi. Is there anything that you'd like to share that we haven't shared yet? Anyone that's listening, maybe you've talked to them in the past, or maybe you haven't, but you want to make sure that they get out of our podcast today. What would that be?
If you are with another brokerage, that's amazing. I mean, if it's the right fit for you, but you really need to look at what EXP offers, because until you hear it from one of us directly, you may be hearing skewed information. So that's the big thing for me, is that, and in any business, you're going to hear a lot of opinions from people, but you need to find out for yourself what's right for you and the right fit for you. And if that's another brokerage, another business, whatever, amazing. That's perfectly perfect. But I always think, for me, I like to know things for myself and check things out for myself, right from the horse's mouth, pun intended, I guess. And so, yeah, I encourage people to really be educated on what's out there and what's in alignment with your future goals and your future self. So
that's great advice, because you said yourself, you had heard about EXP from your system and your mom, but you just didn't really look at it, didn't really pay much attention. What was it that got your attention so you did look at it?
For me, the fact that it was virtual was big. The cloud-based brokerage was big. Right. And then, of course, the ownership. And all the training. I mean, the training is kind of crazy. For any new agent coming into the business, there's less overhead being with EXP, and there's a ridiculous amounts of training. And then, like I said, for my team, I offer all my coaching and mindset training. So you're getting like a ridiculous amount of value with not the crazy overhead that you have. So, right. So for me, that was huge. The training, the connection with all the clients, with you guys. I mean, just having access to people that have been with EXP longer, that's been amazing. And just having that ability to reach out to somebody, powerful.
I agree. Kind of part two of that question. Did somebody, your sister, your mom, or did somebody really like have to shake you up and say, you got to look at this? Or how did you, because you weren't really paying attention, right? And I think a lot of us hear about things, but we don't take the time to sit down and really do your due diligence. What made you, or how did you get to the point so you did look at it to find out that it was a good fit?
I think for me, I got clear on my goals.
Okay.
My goals became clear, and this is where the coaching aspect of thing comes in, but you need to be very clear on what you want in your life and what you want for your future. So that's step one, because if you aren't clear on it, you don't know what fits that for the next right step to take towards your future, right? So I got very clear on what I wanted. And then this just came to me. What you look for, you're going to find. Right. So we have this RAS system, reticular activating system in our brain, that will look for things to try to solve problems for us subconsciously, not in our consciousness. And so I had got clear on my goals. So then I was obviously subconsciously looking for solutions for where I wanted to go. And so when EXP came up and I was in alignment with where I wanted to go, I was the one really going, okay, we have got to make a move here. Like, and I've been an information seeker my whole life and how the world works. I went and did a Bachelor of Science at university. Like I love knowing how things work. So tapping into that, and then things just show up. The next right step will show up for you when you've got your brain in alignment and everything's in alignment. So that's clarity. Clarity is
Well, that's awesome. I really enjoyed our conversation today, Kristi. I always like to end and ask people, if you're a book reader, what's the favorite book that you'd like to recommend? Or if you're a movie watcher, what's your all-time favorite movie?
I don't read a lot, but I consume a lot of information. So I am an Audible person. I read books, like I probably read 2 or 3 books a week. By listening to them. So, when you're a busy entrepreneur, busy realtor, listen to the books. I cannot tell you how important this is. Listen to podcasts, listen to books. So The Power of One More with Ed Millett right now is a popular one. He's a Tony Robbins. I I guess, trainee person.
Right.
So I've really enjoyed that, The Power of One More. I've listened to it a couple times actually, just because there's been certain things that were key in there. And then listening again, you hear it differently because, of course, you're a new person after you listen to different things once. So listen to books is my first, my most important thing. And really diving into your mindset is so powerful because it's where you live every single day. Your emotional home is where you're living. So if you're a grumpy person, you're living a really grumpy life. Like that just doesn't seem like fun. So like you need to upgrade that maybe, and you just literally be happier. So anything to do with mindset is so important because it's every day.
That's absolutely correct. I really enjoyed our conversation today, Kristi. Anyone watching, if you're looking for coaching, for life coaching, or, you're looking for sounds like a very happy and easygoing person that's the glass is half full, and looking to get to the next level in your real estate business. If you're in the GTA or anywhere in the world that EXP's at, like I said, we're in 23 countries. Please reach out to Kristi. Her phone number is there. We're looking forward to seeing you at our next live event, and I'm sure you'll be there. Of course, I'll be there. And I just appreciate you being on our Financial Freedom Forever podcast today, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Thank you so much. It was just so awesome to be here. I just love what you're doing with the podcast. It's amazing. Thank you.
My pleasure. We'll see you on our call that we have scheduled for Friday for me to help you build your team. And I want to talk to you a little bit about help me with even improving my mindset. So I'm looking forward to it.
I love it. Have a great day, guys.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.